mathematics relates to the digital level of the universe, but the maths at that level is just an expression of vibrational states at another level. So the ancients, the initiates who had this understanding, they would build their temples and their great buildings to a certain geometrical design based on various recurring mathematical geometrical sequences, the Fibonacci sequence that you get in nature. Again, they would do it in line with golden mean and pi and all these things that these labels that they give. The point is that they specifically built those buildings to specific designs based on this so-called sacred geometry, because they knew that if you get the mathematics right, digital level, you will manifest in that space the vibrational expression of that mathematics, which is the kind of energy field that you want in that building to do what you're doing. And these are the great awarenesses, this great knowledge is what has been not lost, because the control system that is behind manipulating the direction of the world, it knows all of that, and it's using it to its advantage. It just wants us, the people, the target population, not to know it, and indeed to laugh at it and condemn it as blasphemy and all that stuff, so that we'll stay in ignorance of the information that they're using and recycling against us. And this is why you have such control of mainstream science. It's to stop the cat getting out of the bag, if you like, in terms of this information. This is why people that talk about this, people that look at the health and the way people should be treated in terms of health in a different way, who look at a different form of science. This is why mainstream science and mainstream alleged medicine jumps on them, dismisses them, and ridicules them. This is why this stuff is not taught in the schools and the universities. It's because the idea is to use this knowledge of the nature of reality and its potential against the population, while keeping the population absolutely in ignorance of even the existence of that knowledge and that potential. Thus, when people like me and others say this is how they're doing it, many people say that's ridiculous, that's impossible, that can't happen. No, it's not impossible. You have been persuaded and manipulated to believe it's impossible. And while you believe that, then in that ignorance, you will be played like a violin by the very people using the very information they have manipulated you to dismiss as not even existing. So this is what it is in the end, Jeanice. It's the control system wants to hold the knowledge that can mass manipulate a population while keeping the population in ignorance of the existence of that knowledge. And that's what it's all about. And education is a classic. Medicine's a classic. You see, if you start, and this is what the known does. If you start from the perspective that the world is solid, then everything that comes from that must be flawed and distorted. And if you look at science, yes, science has this schizophrenia, because on one level, it's massive cognitive dissonance. Because on one level, because it's there and they can't completely ignore it, they have to acknowledge the existence of quantum physics, which shows that the world can't be solid. But then, through cognitive dissonance and schizophrenia, they somehow work out a way of agreeing it exists and then completely ignoring it in terms of the other scientific disciplines, which are basically based, if you look at it, on the fact the world is solid. And then you look at education. Education comes from the point of view that the world is solid. Bit of quantum physics thrown in here and there maybe, but not very much. Politics is based on the fact that the world is solid. The decisions are made in that perspective. When they're making decisions about health, they don't go to alternative healers and quantum physicists and ask them about that. They go to mainstream medicine. They go to mainstream scientists. They go to the song sheet. So this is not just navel contemplating musing about, far out esoteric concepts. This is fundamental to why the world is as it is. It is as it is because it's based on the fundamental flaw at the inner core, knowingly so, that the world is solid when it is not. It is a holographic projection of vibrational waveform information. And of course, once you grasp that, and you cross that Rubicon into understanding that, then all these great limitations that the world is solid puts on us suddenly disappear. And the so-called paranormal can be explained so easily, because it's not paranormal. It's the normal that we have been manipulated to believe does not exist. Therefore, what is left is ignorance and stupidity, but it becomes the norm and the normal of those who are subjected to it. If you're born in a madhouse and that's the only thing you know, that's your normal. What we're living in, Jeanice, it's just unbelievable. We're living in a place of insanity in which the insanity is normal. Now, real sanity, which is the people that get out there and beyond the craziness and see it for what it is, this insane normal sees them as crazy. And this is why all the great visionaries throughout history have been targeted by the authority of the day and overwhelmingly laughed at and dismissed by the population programmed by the authority of the day.
And even the population would like, it gets scary because so many are still sleeping that they would like to see those of us who are waking imprisoned. David, I've been dying to ask you this question about the holographic nature of the universe and things like chemtrails and nuclear radiation and the stuff that they're using to sort of genetically mutate us. What are your thoughts about how that exists, number one, why it exists, and how we can deal with it effectively? Do you have thoughts about that?
Well, see, what I said earlier about the base nature of this reality being waveform information applies to everything. So, for instance, take chemtrails, take pharmaceutical drugs. We see them as white lines in the sky in terms of chemtrails. We see pharmaceutical drugs as pills and potions in bottles and hypodermic needles. That's the hologram. If you take them back to the base form, that is vibrational information. And if you could see it at that level, you would see incredibly distorted, chaotic, horrible energy fields. I'm sure many people listening have come across the work of Mr. Emoto in Japan. I've spent many hours with him over the years. Yeah. Where he takes water, puts it in containers, and then applies words or substances, a mobile phone, whatever, to the side of the container, and then freezes it very, very quickly. I've seen his headquarters in Tokyo where he does it. And then he photographs the water crystals. Now, when you see a water crystal which has had words of love and appreciation written on the side, because again, we see or hear words and such like, yes, that's in the hologram. But what are words? I mean, as I'm talking now, there are not words passing between us. There are vibrational information fields generated by my vocal cords. Only when the brain decodes that information do the words appear. And therefore, when you put words on the side of these water containers, you are putting vibrational information, a vibrational information field on that container. Thus, it's vibrating through the water the vibrational state that it is generating. So, words of love and appreciation, when the picture is taken of a water crystal from those containers, then you have these incredibly beautiful geometrical forms. Then you put words of hate and aggression on the side, and what you see in the water crystal is chaotic, distorted, horrible mess. Now, when you do that with pharmaceutical drugs, chemtrails and such like, you will see the same. So we look at chemtrails, and what we're looking at are distorted vibrational fields, and that's what we're doing with pharmaceutical drugs and vaccines. And
so how does that benefit these entities? And I mean, what's the point of distorting all these energy fields? Because
it is distorting us. If you want to control the billions of people, and there's a few of you, then you have to divide and rule. You have to turn and use many of the target population against the target population. We call these people in uniform and government administrators and politicians. But you also have to distort their ability to be the full magnitude of who we are. You see, our natural state is multidimensional awareness. The Da Vinci's and the Brunos, etc., are the rarity. They are supposed to be the norm. Everyone's supposed to be like that. But if we were everyone like that, you try manipulating, suppressing, and controlling a population that is in that level of awareness. I mean, on your bike, mate, all over, don't even try. So what they have to do is to pull our focus of attention into as close and only to the 5 sense level of reality as they can, so that they are then the arbiters of the information that we receive. Instead of getting it from multidimensional levels into our conscious minds and perception, instead they want to shut that off. And therefore, what do people do when they're not getting their perception of reality and possibility from their multidimensional infinite levels of self? They have one place to go in this reality, what they perceive to be the eyes and the ears. And what's coming back the other way? It is the education system controlled by these people. It is science controlled by these people. It is the mainstream media controlled by these people. It is medicine controlled by these people. So you have to get people in such a distorted, low vibrational state that they cannot get out there, and therefore they are dependent for their sense of reality from the information the control system controls and communicates. And a massive part of this, I mean, there are many multi-levels for chemtrails, but a massive part of this is additives in food, additives in drink and water, vaccines, pharmaceutical drugs, the chemtrails now are added. Also, what is going to affect energetic fields on these levels, other levels that we are, people call the auric fields and beyond? What is a greater manipulator and distorter of that than radiation within the electromagnetic spectrum? So now we're having a planet more and more irradiated. We're having, especially urban societies, massively irradiated from endless sources, not least mobile phones and masts and all the rest of it. And it's all done to keep us in ignorance. And this is a major reason why I suggest it's happening now. People just have to hear this information and make their own judgments and choices. I'm not telling people what to believe. I'm just saying what I've concluded after 25 years of this.